This project, I'm supplying you with some images, but you are welcome to get your own. I'm going to walk you through step by step how to get to here from some blank images or some fruit images, base fruit images. I'm going to start by selecting the files that I want to use for my fruit face. So here I've got pear, orange, kiwis, mushrooms, some grape leaves, oranges, quite a few things in here that I've manipulated to make it look like this face. And you can open multiple files at the same time or open them one on one and they'll open in their individual tabs. So to do that, I go to File, Open, find my folder, and these are the files that you guys have access to. You can download them directly from Google Classroom. Here are the different face shapes, and I'm going to go with the pear. So I'm clicking on the pear and clicking Open. And then I'm going to go in and open up a couple of the other images that I want to choose. So going back to these pictures, I know I want to open the carrot, so on and so forth until you get the pieces you want. I have all of my files open now and you can see them in different tabs as well as the original file that I started with. I've decided I like this pear shape. Wrong tool. Make sure I'm in my move tool. I decided I like this pear shape, but I thought it would be cooler if it were rotated around more like a chin at the bottom. So I'm going to use my move tool, go to a corner and hover outside of it so I have that bent arrow and rotate, and I can hold shift. Nope, shift doesn't work on here, so just rotate it. It does. If you hold shift, it'll keep it at certain angles. Once I've rotated it, I hit enter to apply the change. I don't want this leaf and the stem in here, so I'm going to go up to my ellipse select. I'm just going to draw like a circle around here. Doesn't have to be perfect because I can do more than one. Now you can see there's a dotted line around there, and if I hit delete, that will disappear. If I hover back over the top, I have this crosshair, shows I have the move option. I'm going to just drag this here and hit delete. After that, I'm going to do Control D to deselect so that nothing else is selected. And just to make sure I don't end up doing something I don't want to, I'm going back up to my move tool to make sure that's the tool that I'm located in. I'm going to relocate this so it's more in the center. I thought it'd be really funny to use the carrot fronds, the leafy part of the carrot, as kind of like a goatee. So I'm going into my carrot image. I'm just going to drag it down so I can see the edges. And you can see I've got the carrots and I've got the leaves at the top. One of the cool things that you can do with the magic wand tool is you can change the type of selection. So I'm going to choose my magic wand tool over here from my toolbar. Remember, the magic wand tool selects by color. But if I want to, I can have it select no color. Now, right now, only the outside of this image is selected. The carrots and the leaves are not selected. But if I go up to the top where it says select, I can change it to inverse or opposite. And now my carrots and my leaves are selected. And if I, too far, Postma, zoom in. Well, yeah, there we go. You can see the dotted lines up at the top here, if you look carefully. I'm going to copy, same way I do always, Control C, go into my document and Control V to paste. There they are. I said that I wanted to use the leaves as kind of facial hair. So to do that, I'm going to make sure I'm in my carrot layer. So over here, I can see the images of the carrots and it says layer 1. And I'm going to go back to my ellipse tool, my ellipse selection tool. I'm going to draw a big circle and I'm just going to delete and move as needed to get rid of those carrots. And maybe come up a little bit more up here and delete. Now, I actually don't care for that last one, so I'm going to undo. So same thing, Control Z. And I'm going to deselect, Control D. Zoom in a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to use what's called the lasso tool for this selection. This is kind of a free form drawing tool, and because I don't want it to look like such a sharp edge like what I have right here, I want it to look a bit more natural, I'm going to use the lasso tool and get rid of some of this. So here we go. I'm just kind of drawing weird little shape. Doesn't matter what's here. I'm just going to come back, close and connect, and then delete. And it gives me a little bit more of a free form edge. Control D to deselect. Now I want to zoom back out. With my zoom tool selected, I can hold Alt on my keyboard, and you see in the magnifying glass, it goes from a plus sign to a minus sign, and that will allow me to zoom out. Now this would be cool as hair, but I'm going to use it as a goatee. So I'm going to click, grab and rotate my carrot fronds. Hold Shift to keep it square, and drag it down in my move tool. And that's really kind of big, so I'm going to shrink it from a corner. Now, Photopea, you do hold Shift to keep it from warping. Make sure you have your size arrow. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to click Enter to apply that transformation. If I don't click Enter, when I try to do something else, it usually won't let me. I also want to use this carrot frond as part of the mustache. I think that would be kind of cool. To do that, I don't want to go back through and reselect and recopy everything. What I can do, and if I go to paste right now, it's going to be, I'll show you, the entire last thing I copied, which is the carrots themselves. But what I can do is I can copy this specific layer. And if I grab here where it says layer 0 in this gray, or excuse me, layer 1 in this dark gray area, and come down to that little folded piece of paper at the bottom corner here, and let go, drag and let go, you'll see I have layer 1 copy. And it copies exactly on top of the last one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and bring it up here. Go back in with my zoom tool so I can see what I'm doing. And like I said before, I like the idea of using the lasso to get a kind of really natural looking wibbly wobbly edge. So I'm just going to go in here, and maybe I'm going to do it in pieces. So that way, if I have a really cool line, I don't mess it up. Made a selection, do Control D. That's probably too much there. It's okay, I'll go back and do it again. Actually, I think that kind of works. Maybe not. A little bit of eyeballing here. There, let's do that. And I've got a little, so it's a little bit persnickety, but it doesn't have to be. You don't have to add a mustache to yours. From here, I'm going to zoom back out, Control D to deselect, zoom back out by holding Alt, and I'm going to grab that and relocate. That's really too big. Resize it, hold Shift when I do so, and hit Enter to apply that transformation. From here, I've decided I'm going to use this pepper as a mouth. I'm going to go into here to my background, and this time I'm going to use the quick selection tool to choose this, because I don't want all 3 peppers, I just want the one. Using the lasso tool is going to be really complicated, so I'm just going to click and hold here and get the quick selection tool. Now, this takes a minute. It's kind of the downside of using the freeware. At the top up here, I can change my brush size. That's too small. And if you look carefully on the screen, no, it's a little hard to see. You can see the circle that shows you the size of my brush. So that looks pretty good. The mode I want to have my quick selection tool in right now is in Unite, which means if I let go, it will continue to add on to my selection. And I want to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. Again, with the tool selected, going to kind of slowly drag along. Now, this is a little tricky. It selected both peppers. You can see it by the dotted lines there, here and here. And I don't want both peppers selected. I just wanted the one. So I can go back up here to the minus or the subtract. And if I go very carefully, it should let me subtract stuff that I don't want. So also don't want the stem. That looks good. I can see that all along the edge. I have a dotted line, which means this is what I have selected. I'm going to call that good. I'm going to copy this, Control C, go back into my document, Control V to paste, giant pepper, looks good. Go back to my move tool, hold shift and resize. Now I made these into lips. I thought that would be kind of fun. So here is the one side of a mouth, side of the upper lip. With it selected, we can go up to, first I'm going to copy the layer, go layer 2, copy, then go up to edit, transform, and flip horizontally. Now I have 2 lips, 2 upper lips. Hit enter, so it will let me move to select my other one. Now, one of the things that you can't do in Photoshop, which is something we're a little bit used to, is grouping. But what we can do is link our files together. Photopea. Can't do it in Photoshop either. So I'm going to click on layer 2, copy, and layer 2 while holding shift. So hold shift, layer 2, copy is already selected. I'm going to click on layer 2. And at the bottom of my layers palette, there's a little link layers. I can click on that. So these guys are now together, just as if we had grouped them. Resize it till it looks the way I want it to. Sure, hit enter. I can also merge my layers into one layer, which would be a little bit easier for this. So I'm going to hold shift, select them both, go up to layer and merge layers. Now there's only one lip shape. Copy that layer, go to the corner, rotate, and resize as needed. So there, now I have a mouth. I actually want the upper lip to be on top of the lower lip. So I'm going to rearrange my layers like so. Just by dragging them around, I can change where they go. Now that I've zoomed out, I'm going to look at this a little bit more closely, possibly rearrange some things. Zoom in a little bit more. Go back to my move tool. I feel like my mouth is in the wrong spot. One thing that you might find happen is if you're trying to click on something and it's not moving, you might not have auto select clicked at the top here. I'm going to go ahead and click auto select. So I can move things just by clicking and dragging rather than having to go over to the layers. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to choose my nose, and I've decided I'm using a mushroom for a nose. Cool fact, if your background is transparent, meaning you see these little check marks, you don't need to be as careful when you're selecting things because there's nothing behind it. I'm going to use this mushroom as my nose, and I'm going to use the lasso tool again. Like I said, quick selection in Photopea unfortunately isn't as handy as it could be. I'm just going to go real slow in between those two. And then the rest of this, it doesn't matter as long as I don't get any other bits in that I don't want. Go back, kind of close my shape. Make sure my background, I've clicked on it. Control C to copy. Go into my document. Control V to paste. Cool, I've got my nose. It is giant and the wrong way. Rotate. Hold shift to keep it aligned to specific angles. Hold shift when resizing. Relocate and hit enter to apply your transformation. Next up, I'm going to get my eyes. I'm going to use the kiwi for the eyes, for the entire eye. Here I have the background. I'm going to try to use quick select again. Let's see how it works for me this time. Go up to the top, make sure I'm in Unite mode, and let me just make my brush a little bit smaller. Okay. And if I go in, nope, so this is what I was talking about earlier. If this happens to you, the best thing you can do is just close this file and reopen it. I haven't figured out another workaround. All right, I closed it, I reopened it. I'm gonna try this one more time. And this time it worked. Like I said, it is a web program. It does get a little glitchy. There is one little bump right here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to use my refine selection and just click that out with the subtract instead of the unite. Make sure I'm on my background, Control C to copy, go in here, Control V to paste, Control V to paste, because it's okay if they're the same exact size right now. Actually, I think the size is pretty good. I'm not going to worry about making them bigger or smaller. Just maybe kind of make sure they're a bit more aligned. I'm going to use blueberries for a pupil. This is fun. I'm just going to use my circle tool. If I hold shift, same way it works in Photoshop, or excuse me, Illustrator, it gives you a perfect circle. I've got a circle around one of these. Control C to copy. Control V to paste. I'm going to paste it twice. Come on, you can do it. Ah, right now it's pasted behind my kiwis. So I need to make sure it is above my kiwis. There, so they are layer 4. This is where naming layers comes in handy. Too big. Cool, looks good. I like how with this, well, it ends up being quite horrifying by the time you're done. The kiwi helps with, it makes it look like it's got irises and eyelashes. Great. Next up, I am going to add some ears. Now for this particular selection, I'm going to use what's called the magnetic lasso. Actually kind of works slightly like the pen tool in that you click to lay points down, click and drag. Come on, you can do it. Or seems to be working now. I didn't really do much other than give it some time. All I'm doing is I'm very carefully going along the edge, every once in a while clicking to drop down a point. And when I get to the end, I'm going to click to close my shape, and there's my selection. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. It's a big old orange ear. We rotate this, resize it, holding shift so it doesn't get too weird looking. Mr. Pear probably doesn't need that giant of an ear. There we go. I like that. I'm going to click enter. I want to copy this layer exactly as is, so I'm going to click on it, drag it to the piece of paper at the bottom down here. I accidentally trashed it. Let's try that again. I undid piece of paper. There we go. Now I have a layer 6 copy. Drag it over, edit, transform, flip horizontally. I'm going to, once I get these guys kind of where I want them, hold shift and select both layers, link them together. It just makes them easier to transport, and drag them all the way down because I want these behind the face. Okay, there we go. Might have to do it in chunks. There. Last step, I'm going to add some hair to this guy, and I've decided I'm going to use the grape leaves to do that. Obviously, I'm struggling with this one a little bit. I am using the quick selection tool for this one just because I don't want to spend too much time on it. But if you look on the edges, you can see that there's a lot of artifacts hanging around. But because this is a PNG file, all of this little extra bits in the background there clear. And I have a good selection along the edge of the leaf at the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to copy it and paste it. Any day now. Takes a minute. Oh, and there it is. It pasted behind everything else. So I'm going to drag it to the top in bits and pieces if I have to. Now, you notice I haven't saved. I will tell you this, every time you save in Photopea, it actually makes a new file, which is fine as long as you are aware of it. So I'll show you what I mean. If I hit Control S, this will save as pair, there it is, pair 2, because I've already done this once before. And that's fine. Just that way, at least if it crashes, I've got an option. So you can absolutely save it multiple times. Just make sure that when you get to the end, you turn in the correct version of your file. So here we go. Click enter, grab it, make a copy. And I'm going to transform it, flipping it, edit, transform, and flip horizontally. That looks pretty good. Going to zoom out so that way we can see everything. Great. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a background. To do that, over here at the bottom, the same way we were copying layers, if you click on this little edge here, the folded piece of paper, I'll make a new layer. It's all the way at the bottom because I clicked on layer 6 first, so the new layer would paste underneath it. Go to my color picker and choose a color. Let's go with this purpley color. Click OK. And then up here, you probably will have the gradient tool showing. That's the default, but if you click and hold on the gradient tool, you'll get the submenu for the paint bucket. Go ahead, click on your background. There we go. I lost an ear somewhere. Oh, there it is. There we go. Just move that up. There's the other ear. So I've got this. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my name on it. I've clicked on the type tool. Up at the top, made sure it's a pretty big size. And then just click on my background and I can type my name. You should type your name, not mine. And go ahead and put it on the canvas so it can be seen. Here we go. This is my new one. There's my original, slightly different. I got funky with the eyes there, spent way too much time on the mouth, but the same idea. So from here, I'm going to save it. Files, save as PSD. I do want this as a Photoshop file. It's going to save with the name it already has. So if it's a pear, it's going to save with pear. If it's watermelon, it's going to save with watermelon. And what you're going to do is you're just going to rename that file before you turn it in. So you can find the file, right click on it, go to rename. Don't change the file extension. First name, first initial, last name, and project name, which we'll call face. Oh, that's right, because I've already done it. So I'll just leave it as pair 3 right now. Or I'll just add it to. So rename, first initial, last name, dot face, and this is my second one, so I'm going to put the number 2. There we go. That's what it is. I know this is a long tutorial. I hope you were patient through it.